So how long were you at Masters? Did you say 3 years?
Yeah, so I did the full-time track, as they call it. So I finished everything in 3 years, yeah.
Okay. And then from there, what happens?
So near the end of that time, I kind of had another sort of time of questioning of, should I consider ministry here in the States? Should I consider going overseas? I had the privilege of helping out with a couple mission trips when I was over there at Grace, over in East Asia. I won't say the country for security purposes, but, just the opportunity to help, see what, God was doing with churches overseas. And so there was really a period where I didn't know which direction I would go down. Even though I am, Asian by background, I don't actually speak the language. And so,
right. They probably were like, what? You don't understand?
Yeah. Well, and it was fun because I remember there would be a white lady who was, from, I think, Minnesota, spoke perfect Mandarin. Right. And so she actually had to translate for the local people there with the haircut I wanted. And the people looked at us so confused, like, why are you translating for him? But long story short, so I was praying or thinking about those different routes, eventually decided to pursue a church over in Southern California, just because I thought, hey, I speak English, might as well do ministry there. And so it was in Burbank that I was there as a student ministries pastor for a couple of years.
Awesome. Is that where you met your wife?
Actually, so I didn't meet her at the church. It was while I was a youth pastor there. Long story short, I met her actually through my sister-in-law. So, when I was over at Grace Community Church and Seminary, you hear that Grace has like 8,000 to 10,000 people. And so I go to seminary thinking, I'm for sure going to meet my wife. This is going to be totally easy. There's a ton of people that want to get married. After I finished seminary, I didn't meet a single person, right? And so I thought, well, maybe when I go to a smaller church, one that's a more quote unquote normal size, I'll meet someone there. Didn't meet anyone there. And so I was getting to a state just wondering, all right, Lord, maybe I need to be single. I don't know what you have for me. But all of that was going on in the background. My younger brother, was getting married. And so, Cindy, my wife, was actually going to her church down in Orange County. And, they knew each other pretty well. And so as their wedding date's getting closer, my sister-in-law knew what I was looking for in a wife. She knew what Cindy, her friend, was looking for in a husband. And as the day was getting closer, thought, there might be a pairing here. And so she actually set us up to meet at their wedding on the wedding day at the reception, which looking back, was a little risky. Things weren't exactly working out because we were literally sat together, at the same table. But we actually met through them. So
that's funny.
To bring things full circle, when I went to San Francisco, that inner city, missions, group in college, that's, after I went, I encouraged my brother to go there the following year. And that's actually where he met his wife. Oh. So I could kind of joke, you guys really got together because of me. And then a couple of years later, he was able to say the same thing of, well, if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be married. So
it's funny how God works like that.
Yeah.
And also, when I'm listening to your story, I'm hearing somewhat a little bit of my own, just because I went out of Bible college. I thought for sure I'd meet my mate in Bible college, graduate with a religious ed degree, doing youth ministry, and I'm like, okay. And I had a roommate. He's actually the guy who does our intro and outro and our website stuff for this podcast. And so Chris was a few years behind me. He was a basketball player at Moab, and he would show up with all these younger gals, and I was like, I don't relate to these people now. I'm out of college. I'm doing, full ministry, basically full time, even though I'm not getting paid full time, and I'm working a job, and I'm just like my just where I was. These girls are 18, 19, 20. I'm 23, 24, and just different part of my life. I guess is the best way I would put it. And I was like, I kind of said the same thing. I guess maybe God's plan is for me just to be single. And so I hadn't dated anybody in a long time. I just had kind of chucked that all to the side, and I was invited to do flag football. I had a Sunday. It was the Rams bye week. We had the St. Louis Rams here, and that was the year they were going on to win the Super Bowl with Kurt Warner. Okay. And so they had a bye week, and we'd all been watching because as they started winning, everybody's watching, right? And so, that was a bye week. Nothing was going on. My roommates were all doing different ministry stuff. I had one as a Southern Gospel guy. I had another guy doing this. Chris, I think, was playing basketball. So I had the townhome to myself and did church and worship. And afterwards, I had nothing to do. And one of the guys said, why don't you come hang out and grab lunch with us? And we're doing some flag football with our singles group that I have, and I'm like, okay, sounds good. It's better than being at home at the townhome by myself, I guess, and I'll have that anyways the rest of the evening when I go back. So went and hung out, and that's how I met Amy. She was there playing flag football, and then I started, I found out that she liked one of the gals, or she knew one of the gals from my small group at the church, and I told Christy, I was like, why don't you invite Amy? As the Rams are going towards the Super Bowl, we started having these playoff watch party out their small group, and I said, why don't you invite her? And
yep, and that's the beautiful thing, right? You only need to find one person. Now you and I are both married, so praise God for that.
Yep, and you guys are about to have your first kids. So
right, yeah.
So 5 more to catch up.
I don't know if we'll get there, but yeah, I have a friend that jokes. He's a different one. He said, "Yeah, I would love to have a football team worth of kids."
Hey, thanks for watching this short with us today. And if you like it, check out our full episodes on our channel and website. We'll put those in the links below. And as always, Scott,
like and subscribe, or subscribe and then like, whatever order you want, really.
Whatever order you like.
Yeah.
Thanks.